Борба за доминација меѓу САД и Руската Федерација во ек на најголемата криза на ОБСЕ и судбината на Источна Европа помеѓу нив. Колку војната во Грузија во 2008 година беше предвесник на политиките на Путин. Дали Ентони Блинкен и Сергеј Лавров имаа потреба од медиумска драма и дипломатска помпа за да осамне ново председателство на организацијата? Останете со нас. На еден чекор од работна пропаст се разменија задкулисни компромиси од стилот ти мене валета, јас тебе Скопје. После долго време изолација на Москва. Кој дојде во Скопје, а кој замина со победа во дипломатскиот куфар.
How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Great. You got back quickly. Yeah. Yes, of course. Mr. Minister Bujar, it is wonderful to be here. Wonderful to be in North Macedonia. Wonderful to be with all of our colleagues. Coming from NATO, that seems appropriate because North Macedonia is such a strong ally and partner for the United States and for all of our other allies in NATO. We see that every single day. And I have to tell you how grateful we are to you for your stewardship of the OSCE in what has been, as you said, a very challenging time. But you've done it remarkably well. Managed to advance the mission of the OSCE despite the very, very significant obstacles. And I know you would have been willing to continue even longer, but I'm glad that Malta will take up the baton. We have a strategic partnership that's really focused on the work that we're doing together as allies and partners, but also the work that we're doing together on a bilateral basis. And as you know, we strongly support your Euro-Atlantic integration. We strongly support the work that you're doing to strengthen even more your democratic institutions. We strongly support the work you're doing to bring greater energy diversification to the region and beyond that will have, I think, very powerful and profound impacts. And in all of this, you can count on the United States as a strong partner. And so part of the reason that I wanted to make sure that I was here this evening was not only for the OSCE, but also for North Macedonia and to demonstrate the partnership that we have and the appreciation that we have for it. So thank you.
Are you ready for peace talks and what will happen in Ukraine?
Говорот му траеше 15 на минути, пошто ја напушти дипломатската маса, но и неговото обраќање беше бойкотирано. Дел од присутните не сакаа да го слушнат, на што тој реагираше.
Can you leave me alone, please? Thank you.
Deputy Minister, you are for the first time here in Skopje. Do you like it?
It's a very nice place. I'm really glad being in this beautiful city, in this beautiful country, and very fond of this hospitality of Macedonian people.
It's 15 years from 2008. How do you evaluate these 2 days and the speeches from the Russian Federation and Minister Lavrov?
Well, first of all, I generally want to say that for Georgia, international forums are very important, especially the OSCE forum, where we are today. And during this, during the meeting, we really had very strong supportive statements of the delegations of partner countries. Unfortunately, at the same time, we see a very destructive approach of the Russian Federation, and this refers not only to issue of Georgia, to the conflict with Georgia and Russia and occupation of Georgian territories, but generally to the international disrespect to we see disrespect to the international law and the international system, and this is reality, unfortunately.
Some states and ministers decided to not come to the Ministerial Council. Do you think that it was a good decision?
I really cannot comment this question. I generally want to say that for Georgia, international forums to air the Georgia's issues, to get the support of the occupation of Georgia's territories and support of the Georgia's territorial integrity and sovereignty is very important.
What do you expect in the next period from OSCE? Because Lavrov said that he's indifferent. Do you think that the organization will survive, and what to expect?
This is a very good question. First of all, one thing is very clear. International community have to be very firm and very strict when it is about the international law. There cannot be any compromise on expense of the international law and the international order. That's one very clear, and international organizations are part of this. Generally, we need to strengthen multilateralism, which is today challenged only one country in the world. This is the Russian Federation.
Do you think that it was a success these 2 days and this year with Macedonian chamber?
Well, we will see when it will be finished, but I generally want to highlight and congratulate the Macedonian side for this very important, having this important meeting of OSCE, and I really want to comment for the strong leadership of Macedonian side during this period.
Estonia was blocked by Russia and Belarus. At the end, Malta is going to be in 2024. What are you expecting from Malta?
Well, generally, we first of all, I really want to express our strong support both to Estonia as well as to Malta generally, and we really expect, as we said, that there will not be compromise on international law and on international issues.
What about the 4 positions of OSCE?
This is good example of destructive approach of Russian Federation and disrespect to whole international community. What is happening now around all these issues you mentioned.
Well, it was my colleague, the Secretary of State Blinken, who avoided this meeting. But I am here. I didn't see this today, but Madam Zakharova showed me 2 different photographs published in the Macedonian newspapers. The first photograph was shown yesterday's evening when everyone came for dinner. They took a picture. Now I understand why they did that. They did that to make sure the newspaper could publish that and say that everyone came except for Minister Lavrov. He is in isolation. Yesterday they just had a nice evening with Macedonian wine and food, but the opening was in the morning. And other newspapers published the photo from the morning session, the opening, where all the countries were present, including the Russian Federation, that I represented together with my other colleagues. But during the evening dinner, we were not present. In the morning, there was no Ukrainian minister or ministers from Poland or the Baltic states. Secretary of State Blinken left, Borrell left. Why does this happen? Perhaps they wanted to underline their intention to isolate Russia. I think they were just cowards. They're afraid, scared of any honest talk with the facts. And this fear can explain all their attempts not to give visas to our diplomats. This goes for the UN events in New York, the events in Paris, and the various sessions of UNESCO. This is just cowardice, simple cowardice. Throughout the 2 years of this hysterical hybrid war unleashed by the West against Russia, we see that they have no reasonable arguments, while we have presented our facts yesterday in great detail and no one objected.
Look, Russia is an aggressor state. I would take every word coming from Foreign Minister Lavrov, with all due respect, with a grain of salt, if not more. Russia, as I said, is an aggressor state. They are brutally acting with impunity so far, although there will be accountability for their crimes in Ukraine. They are currently occupying 20% of Georgia's territory. They are stationing troops in the Republic of Moldova without the consent of the host nation. All of these are egregious violations of international law, and so we intend to hold Russia to account. It cannot continue with impunity. There must be consequences for these sorts of actions.
Minister Lavrov today said that Antony Blinken and the others are cowards. How do you comment this?
Look, nobody wants to sit at the table with Foreign Minister Lavrov and listen to lies, disinformation, and propaganda. So staying away from that table, I would say, is an act that makes a whole lot of sense if you're someone who doesn't engage in masochism.
Ambassador, how to achieve consensus in the next period? Because today Lavrov said that he's indifferent and that the organization is sinking. It will be difficult for consensus.
Well, the organization is not sinking because, as I just said, we have a chair for next year and we have now the top leadership of the organization continuing. So we'll continue to use it, again, for the reasons that it was created. Originally in 1975 with the Helsinki Final Act to promote democracy, human rights, and basic international norms, things like sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the inviolability of borders. Those are the bedrock principles on which the organization was founded, and we'll continue to support them.
Sergei, you are coming directly from Kiev. How do you evaluate this ministerial council these 2 days?
I used to be on different ministerial councils. It's, as far as I remember, 4th or 5th in my experience, and I would say that it is the most unsuccessful in this row. Because I have never had an experience having about half of countries presented not by ministries, but by assistants or even ambassadors. So it's definitely a failure. And even now, while we do not have this conference finalized, it is clear that there is a difficulty to have final decisions on stuff which is crucial for this conference, or assignment of new Secretary General and other high officials. So it means that it's definitely not a success. And it's also absolutely clear who is guilty. Guilty is Russia, because Lavrov have clearly said at the press conference that he does not care about OSCE future, that he thinks that the organization probably would not survive, and he did not want to appoint as agreed between other member states.
Do you think that it was a good decision that a lot of the ministers and delegation didn't came to Skopje to confront Lavrov, or it was a bad decision because he said that they are cowards?
He said that...
Yes, he said that Blinken is a coward and the rest of the... Yeah.
Okay. I would say that the first person who have started this boycott, it's definitely not Blinken. It's Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, who said the day before conference has started, so it's the very last minute, that he will not come. And then this waterfall of those denials have started. So Baltic states and Poland and others, and Blinken and Borrell have decided it in the very last minute. Because, for instance, Borrell, on the evening before the conference has started, said here in Skopje that he has come to attend a conference, that he has come to face Lavrov, but later he decided not to go. So it was definitely a last-minute decision. It was definitely not initiated by Blinken, I don't know, reptiloids or someone like that. It's a political decision which was made due to the fact that sanctions were temporarily lifted from Lavrov. And Lavrov was allowed to come here. And it is the first meeting from February 2022 where some European ministers sat at one table with Lavrov on European soil. So in this case, I would say that I would not say that North Macedonian presidency is guilty, because guilty is Russia. But to some way, Macedonian presidency is responsible, because they did not have a good choice. Lavrov has blackmailed Skopje. It was not like by chance that he was allowed, because he really have blackmailed not only you, but also VN and the organization itself. So finally, Boyar Osmani took a decision to allow a Russian minister to come here. But finally, this decision to let him come here led to this mass boycott. And also I would like to stress a very important thing, what Lavrov has said in the very end of his conference. despite he was allowed to come here only for a OSCE meeting, he said that most of time I spent not in Skopje, but in Orchid. So he has violated even those lifting of sanctions that were made by Macedonian authorities. So, yeah.
Yesterday, Minister Schallenberg said that that OSCE is there need to be a dialogue between the members of OSCE. So how do you comment this? Because this was the answer of the question. Does he actually agrees with the coming of Sergei Lavrov?
You've been at the press conference. Did you see a dialogue? I've seen a dictate. So when some foreign journalists had a chance to ask questions, Lavrov started to answer, "You do not have an education," as a journalist. So it's not a dialogue. It's a continuation of a Russian dictate, and also what is even more important, of Russian disinformation. Because if we start to disassemble every sentence that Lavrov has said, normally it consists some very small part of truth and also a lot of false. And the reason for Lavrov to come here is not to have a dialogue. So I understand that Austria is a country which used to live in a dimension when peace is always here. The dialogue have to be, but we are in a state of war. An aggressive war started by Russia on Ukrainian soil. An aggressive war that does not have any basis. Russia simply do not want dialogue. Russia wants to break international rules, and breaking OSCE is one of tools of Russia. So I don't see any chance for dialogue with current Russia in this organization.
You are the only journalist from Ukraine who came actually directly from Kiev. Why?
Several reasons. It's not that easy to travel from Ukraine. We do not have flights because of Russian aggression and so on. So there is a procedure to get authorization to travel abroad. So it's not that easy. It's first point. And another point is that I'm covering foreign affairs. My media is focused on foreign affairs. So that's quite normal that I'm the only.
What do you expect from Malta?
I expect that the next year OSCE will meet the same challenge that it has now under North Macedonian presidency, because Malta would not solve any of these core problems. The next year we will have a new blackmail by Russia, because Russia would also say that we would not want to accept prolongation of term of these officials, high officials, that hopefully will be appointed today. Probably they will not be appointed as well. That would mean that the crisis is deeper. And again, now Russia has blackmailed North Macedonia to lift sanctions and to allow Lavrov, Zakharova and others to enter the country. Next year, it would be the EU country, member of the Schengen zone, and Russia would blackmail them as well. They will demand to give authorization for sanctioned Russian official to enter Schengen zone. So for Russia, I see it as a tool to undermine sanctions. Unfortunately now, authorities of North Macedonia, Bujar Osmani, have decided to give up for this blackmail. Whether Malta would agree to do the same, I don't know. It's difficult to say.
My final questions, I will ask you again. Do you think that it was a good decision from Minister Kuleba to not come to the Ministerial Council to Skopje, because he would have also opportunity to speak in front of all of the media here and to tell what he has to tell?
Definitely it's a good decision, because if other countries, like North Macedonia in this case, violates sanction rules and give up under Russian pressure, well, Ukraine have to say that we do not accept that. If you start to giving up before aggressor, it only gives a signal to aggressors that he, or in this case he as Lavrov, can go further. And I think that Ukraine have to give a signal that we do not accept this kind of decision by North Macedonia.
Do you agree that this is a diplomatic victory of official Moscow?
No. I would say that there is part of victory, because yes, Lavrov was allowed to come, but it would be a victory if Kuleba would stay here. If Blinken would stay here, it would mean that there is a normalization of contacts between Lavrov and the rest of the world. Now we see a kind of boycott of heads of MFAs of key European and American states. So Lavrov did not reach his final goal. He has reached a medium goal, but it's definitely not a victory as we call it.
Гледавте Европат. Останете со програмата на телевизија 24.